runoff, it's iconic. The big Barramundi are there. I was joining up with my good mate Tynan. Nicko from Tackling Australia was with me. And what we really wanted to do was come and try and play with some of these big donkeys that this place is so well renowned.
The runoff Barra fishery in the Northern Territory is special because one, we've got the wet season, which dictates when it happens. So we've got a time when it should roughly happen. So the typical months are the wet season in the Northern Territory. The real rain starts sort of early December in a typical wet season, and it starts to wind up at the beginning of April. So that's a normal wet season. Again, it can blow out, but that's typical. So your runoff months start, we all seem to get excited January, February, but it seems too early because nothing's done its thing. January, February, end of March, April is your typical months to come up and experience awesome runoff fishing. But my best advice if you want to come to fish the runoff in the Territory is locking dates in can be difficult because you need to be fluid with times and dates because it is all based on how much rain is falling and when it's falling. So if you're going to plan a trip, it's your tides at that time of year you want to be looking at. You want large water movement. If you don't have so that time of year there's so much flood water, so you need the tide pushing back up to try and slow flood water down. So typically runoff fishing, I will plan around the larger tides. Now, you can 3 to 4 days either side of your peak tide is brilliant because you get to see what's happening with the fishing, and it might get better as the tides get bigger, it might get worse. So you get a bit of best of both worlds to try and figure out what's happening, which changes every year. So the first thing is find out where people are going and where the good rain and where the rivers look the best. But in the Territory, you've got the Daly River. Shady Camp is an extremely popular place for lots of boats to go. It's not as treacherous to drive down there. It's when it's in flood, there's no tides to worry about with launching at the ramp. And it is one of the homes of the big Barramundi in the Northern Territory. You've got Shady Camp, there's places like Adelaide River, a lot closer to Darwin, good to fish. The South Alligator in Kakadu is a magic river as well. And I always fall back to the Daly. That's one of my favourite places on the planet.
Where the big fish are, there's the little ones, Nicko. Look at that cute little Barry. This is what you expect with wet season. Everything's stacked into these creeks feeding. There's salmon, there's little Barra and there's big Barra. And they're all here looking for a feed. It's all about just finding those concentration points where that right water's coming through, getting a lure in front of them and having a whole lot of fun. When you talk to experts, local experts like Tynan, a big part of finding these fish is about finding the right situation, and a big part of that is water quality. Tynan talks predominantly about 3 types of water. You've got this totally muddy runoff, which comes out of the floodplains. It's really mixed up. It's just yuck looking water. Then you've got this fresh water that's clear, and this is key. And the third one is your oceanic green. Now Tynan and locals will spend most of their time looking for that clear fresh water. You can virtually taste it, it's fresh, you can smell it. Where you find that in the mix zones is critical for finding your runoff Barra.
Colour change tannin water flowing in, so you've got nice swirly mixing of filthy water and clean water. You need bait fish and you need fish on your sounder. You get those 3 things happening, then you can start to play with your tides and what's making those conditions better or worse on the day or depending where you are.
Territory runoff is iconic around the planet for a reason. It's just a massive mix of all the best parts of nature coming together, from your crocs to your stingrays to your bird life to your bait life, and of course these massive barramundi. Do yourself a favour, once in your life, come up here and experience it for yourself.